Welcome to ToV Live. It is Valhalla time. Welcome everybody tonight on this Sunday night. It's been a little while. It's been a few weeks. I was on a break. I think I mentioned that, right? Yeah, I was on a break.
Yeah.
Last time we had
yes.
Tabletop Bro on the panel. That was a wild night, wild time with Tabletop Bro. And Sarge, yeah, saying welcome back. Oh yes, thank you. It's good to be back. I kind of miss doing this. And it's fun. I'm a little disoriented, but that's okay because we have a special interview tonight, and we're gonna get into that in a second. But first, of course, I am Ryan, Tales of Valhalla. I got Joe Crazy above me. We got Jeremy, the LSM call it. We got Jason, Rock Robotics Tabletop Battlefield. And we have, as a guest to interview tonight, Dadscaper. Welcome, Dadscaper, to ToV Live with us tonight. Go ahead and just introduce yourself for a second, Dadscaper, and who you're about and where people can find you, if it's like on like heroscapers.com or whatever.
Yeah, so thanks for having me on your on this excellent video series. So I'm Dadscaper, Ben, but people know me as Dadscaper on Heroscapers or DS3272 on the Discords, and Board Game Geek and Reddit. So I started playing Heroscape in 2007. Got it for my son. Started playing competitively in 2008 or so. Ran my first tournament 2010. A week or two after it discontinued, and then very soon after that, I was involved with the C3V. And so here I am today.
Awesome. It's glad to have you. And so, yeah, I know, like, for our audience, I know there's a lot of things we need to cover in these last 2 weeks. We might not get to all of them or most of them tonight because of this interview, but we'll definitely come back next week. And even like when it comes to YouTube comments, because I know a few of you commented on the last ToV Live segment, quite a bit of comments on those. We might not cover all of them tonight. Or get to them, but we'll get to them next week if possible. But Dadscaper, what we'll do is just dive straight into this interview. And first question I want to ask, the really basic question is, and you were talking about it a little bit, but how did you come to know about Heroscape?
Right. I saw something. I can't remember what it was. It might have been a TV ad. It might have been. And I thought, my God, that looks awesome. So I said to my mother, you know what my son needs? He needs this game. He needs Heroscape. Yeah, and so she got it for him. And then, we started, that was, of course, the Rise of the Valkyrie. And yeah, and so then we started playing, and you guys all know what happens when you get that first set. You play for a while, and then you're hooked, and then you're like, creeping into Target in the middle of the night. Some of you may remember these days, you're creeping in a Target in the middle of the night, praying there's something new on the shelves. Yep. Yeah, so looking at the clearance aisle at Walmart, I remember all that.
I remember Kmart. Kmart had some good Heroscape deals back in the day.
Yeah, or Toys R Us to get the exclusives. Yeah.
But wait, there's more.
So yeah, that was how it started. That was the beginning. I don't know how much further past the beginning you wanted me to go.
Oh, that's fine. And so when you got started, basically it was for your son, to probably spend time with them and interact with them for that.
Yeah. It was. I mean, it looked like something that would appeal to him, and it absolutely did appeal to him, and that I would enjoy also. And in fact, you can see unless Photobucket has taken them down again, you can see like in my battle reports, I took pictures, just like still pictures, because this was ancient days. Um, and I posted them in my, some early battle reports, and I shared them on Heroscapers. It's the thread is linked in my signature. For those of our viewers who don't have accounts on Heroscapers, I urge you, it's one of the nice places on the internet. Even now, as tense as the community is, it's a nice place. Um, Go, just start posting, write about what you're interested in, or don't start posting, just lurk. But it's nice.
Mm-hmm.
There's a role for Facebook, there's a role for the subreddit, there's a role for the Discord. The home of the hobby is Heroscapers. So anyway, if you're there, it's easy enough to find a post of mine. There's a link in my signature block for my battle reports, and you can see earliest adventures I had. And my son would take all the dragons and get really upset when one of them got killed. And then within 8 months, he was beating me every time. So
Cool. And for sure, and for those of you watching this on YouTube, there'll be links in the description below too for Heroscapers to find those articles. So go ahead and go in the description and look for those there. And now let's go ahead head up now to more current times when it came to becoming a consultant for Age of Annihilation and getting invited there. I know you talked a little bit about this with Sir Heroscape a few months back, but just bring us back there for that moment. Like, how did you become a consultant for AOA and the development of the War Council too? How was that process?
Since Heroscape discontinued soon after it discontinued, there was this idea that the fans could pick up the gauntlet. It was the era of what Grunge Bob or Jerry Hawthorne, it's what he called fanscape. And so one of the things that was born out of that was the C3V, which was this like secret workshop that would, not secret, but private workshop that would operate kind of like Hasbro did in the old days. Design units based on existing minis, and then we would release them. And Jeremy, you were on there pretty early, right?
Yeah, they invited me to work with their fiction writers. I think it was back in 2010. So
yeah. So at the very start, you were invited on to write fiction. I was invited on as an editor because I thought that was something I could really do well. And then it turned out that editing was more like sort of kind of rules focused and less like Jeremy focused. Yeah. But in time, it turned out that probably where I would serve better was on the ERB, the Executive Review Board, the leadership group.
yeah.
Because I have some training and experience in management, which it turned out the project needed at a transition time when its founders were stepping back.
Right.
So anyway, I've been sort of on the leadership group for the C3V for a long time now. Friends with Zorloff, friends with Craig. So anyway, Craig went to Zorloff and said to him, "Hey, I'm starting up this project. Could you get a hold of some of those guys in the C3V and see if any of them want to work with me?" Said Craig to Zorloff. Zorloff came to me and said, "Hey, Craig came to me and asked me to assemble a team of people from the C3V. How about you assemble a team of people from the C3V, and I'll hook you up with Craig?" Because I mean, and that was sort of natural given the relationship between all three of us at the time. And so I talked to a few people, a couple of whom were available immediately to jump on board. Doc was ready to come on board right away. Kevin Dola was ready to come on board right away. So the three of us joined. Zorloff was already there. Sky Knight was already there. After we had signed our NDAs, that was the original War Council. I can keep going forward if you'd like until we get to how it came to be. All right. So at that time, what we were doing was pitching ideas for factions, or what Craig would call armies. So one obvious choice was pirates. Another sort of thing that I conceived that was sort of my idea was, hey, what if there is a planet on which there are warring wizard clans? They're like the good guy wizards and the bad guy wizards, and all they do is fight. And there's like the sort of good magic, what I might call sort of a druidic, sort of nice kind of magic, and then there's sort of sinister, kind of warlocky sort of magic on the other side. And they were constantly and we pulled heroes from there to Valhalla. So that was this sort of like pirates were obvious, and then this like wizard war thing was less obvious. And we all were sort of pitching different things. And so Craig sort of help us work through these, the bubbling ideas until we picked out a few that were really going to work. And then he would task us. So Doc was tasked with, at the beginning, we were thinking like gnomes or some underground builder sort of things, that became the Clockwork Combine. And I was tasked with the things that I've been working on, and Sky Knight had this idea that he wanted with the space bugs. So those things were all sort of parceled out. And then we started really forming this particular designs. So I had a batch of pirate designs. Doc had a batch of cyborgy thing designs. We would present them on like one call. The two of us would present them both to Craig. Craig would be like, no, all right, talk through every single one of them. Give us feedback. When we were done with all of them, he would say, all right, these are good enough. We'll post them on our inner sort of secret platform that we're using. And at that point, they went up to our entire group. And then the entire group could sort of talk about them. And like Jeremy, and I guess you guys all probably know, you guys familiar with the C3V, know what Kevin Dola brings to the equation. I mean, he is a fantastic Heroscape player, and he's led playtesting inside the C3V for a long time. Very good at looking at a unit, assessing it, evaluating strengths, weaknesses, what's good. So that was sort of his lead role.
And
go ahead.
Yeah, I want to ask something because I'm interested in like this process of creating characters from turning characters from ideas into your head into concept art, and then the miniature on the game table. So explain to us when you're saying you're presenting Craig with these ideas for characters, for miniatures. So what are you exactly presenting? Are you just presenting like written form ideas? Are you doing sketches? What does that exactly entail?
Yeah. So when we're presenting them to Craig, they were pretty raw designs of units. And one of the things we did during those meetings was sort of imagine our way through, well, what if instead of them being a bunch of human pirates, they were pirates from different planets? And then, it would be like, oh, this one could be from this one could be a Marrow pirate captain. How cool would that be? So that's the type of conversation that would happen in those meetings. I'll tell the story forward from here until we get to the sketch art, because for me that was a really magical moment, but that didn't come until quite a bit later. Okay. Well, what happened is, like, I would share in our inner workshop a bunch of pirate designs, and some of them it would become clear that some of them would have to wait for future releases. For instance, because for some of them there are elements that require that something be common, which we knew wasn't going to be part of this. So that had to get shelved, but it's still there. And I love it. But that had to get shelved at the time. So certain things would sort of keep making their way forward in the process. And at some moment, known only to Craig, he grabbed, all right, these look like they're going to be for real. He would grab them, take them off into the dungeon, unchain the artists for a few minutes, let them down from the wall, hold up the torch while they would sketch things based on our design. So, I had a design for a Marrow pirate captain. There was not until that moment, there was not anywhere on God's green earth where there was sketch artwork, as far as I know, of a Marrow pirate captain. But I had designed it. And then some professional sketch artist led down for a few moments from the dungeon wall, sketched one. And so, for me, I had an emotional response to that.
Yeah.
That was extraordinary. As someone who's been making designs for Heroscape and helping others make designs for Heroscape since 2010, it was a very special moment to be. It was a level of affirmation, I think, that anyone would be lucky and thankful to have.
For sure.
Absolutely.
So anyway, that's where the sketch art came from. It came later.
Okay. Is it getting started with the process? Is it like 6 months to a year in the process, or how long would that be?
So,
usually take?
Yeah. So we started talking in late summer last year. Early fall last year, we had our first meeting as a group. Like with Craig and Rod and everybody. When did we start getting sketch art? I really don't remember. It was probably mid to late winter.
Okay. So it's about probably like 6 months or so.
Yeah. Or maybe a little earlier than that. Yeah. But what was revealed early on, that's what the sketch art looked like.
Okay. That's a really good point of reference. Now I'm gonna because I know we got some chats here in Twitch, so I'm just gonna read these real quick so we don't get behind in these. So hold on a moment. Let me get to okay, Undamp Pick says that intro still gives me chills. And you're talking about, because I bumper the Age of Annihilation commercial intro into this live stream. And Undamp Pick says, Dad Scaper, can you remind us which factions you helped design for AOA?
Yeah.
I have a hard time keeping track of who designed what.
Of course. I don't want anyone to feel shy about asking anything. There's a ton of information out there. And also, there's not just a ton of information, but like any one thing is repeated 10,000 times. And, over time, there can be little variations in it. Please, nobody be shy about asking a question. Don't worry about me being uncomfortable. You probably don't need to worry about any of these guys being uncomfortable. Don't worry about being embarrassed. Please just ask your questions. Ryan, is it fair to say I speak for everybody when I say that?
For sure.
Yeah.
That's how we roll here.
Yeah. All right. Good. Yeah. Don't be shy. All right. So what did I design? So the short answer first. Short answer is I designed the pirates. I designed the Dryan, and I designed the armored bears. the slightly longer answer is, when I say I design these things, what I mean is I led the design for them, because the input of the rest of the team was invaluable. Guys like Cytail and Doc, which are their names on the Heroscapers forum, I mean, they can just spit out like, oh, I don't like the way this works. They'll say, and I'll say, but I'm trying to tell this story with this unit, and and then they'll just spit back, how about we do this? And it's such a good idea. So anyway, these are the ones that I designed, by which I mean I led the designs. And I'd like to think that they would say the same thing, not the same thing, but similar things about like Doc wanted a bunch of gnomes, and I was like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if they were really little otter people instead of gnomes? And then we ended up with but
furry little
the
woodland
design,
creatures.
yeah, and then it became woodland creatures, yeah. But like the designs themselves are genius and very dark. So anyway, so we all bring our different things to the table, and this is all stuff like Jeremy. What I'm describing now, it sounds like what you've seen in the private workshop of the C3V. Yes.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's how we roll. So anyway, that's the answer to the question.
It's a good system too, I will say.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that the only one?
No, there's a few. So your undamped pick also says, my brother got Rise of the Valkyrie for Christmas, and soon afterwards I went to Walmart and picked up the Fortress and the Ninjas of Northern Wind. It became an addiction, and now my collection is 70 to 80% complete. Yeah, that's to everybody. It's like you play one of the master sets, and you're just like, I need more. And you find, even today, it's like, okay, I need more. Okay, where else can I go? eBay, Goodwill.com, all things Heroscape. Just
stop sending me coupon emails. They're getting me back into the whole thing. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah. Well, that was. I mean, that pattern, that like the new units entering the system or entering your home game, that's part of the experience of Heroscape, which is why the C3V was so important. As I felt like it was part of it was like the beating heart of the hobby for a while.
Right.
It like pushing the game, into new cycles. So yeah, for sure, I can relate. I have a house full of Heroscape myself, even though my son doesn't even. I mean, he's off getting his masters. There's nobody here to play with me, but the house is full of Heroscape.
And so your Sarge says, my first was finding Rise of the Valkyrie with the Vipers Walmart exclusive. Yes. That's
sparkly water.
Yeah, that's a goal. That's a goal. So your undamped pick says also, I didn't get the EOV until Wave 10, but they probably have my favorite paint job in the game. Yeah, for those. Yeah, and for me personally, when it comes to like the custom lines that have come up, I've only been introduced, and I've only gotten some C3V stuff like this year before ScapeCon, and then I got a rude awakening when it came to playing like tournament play on ScapeCon, when it came to these new miniatures that I never heard of before, and I'm just getting my butt handed to me.
Reverse the whip destroyed.
Yeah, I mean,
oh, it was fun though.
The official lineup of Heroscape units is so wildly inconsistent with power level.
Right.
I mean, wildly inconsistent with power level, which is, I mean, Doc and I had this conversation privately a couple of weeks ago. And, I mean, we know we're standing on the shoulders of giants. We have what they did not, which is years of experience playing with these figures and the opportunity to reflect on them. So, like, we won't make, we in the C3V were never going to make the mistake, or any number of mistakes that the original designers did with it, high or low. So Ryan, I'm sorry you had nasty surprises for you at ScapeCon.
It's all good.
But we tried to keep a pretty tight, not perfectly tight, because first of all, I don't think that would be possible, and second, I don't even know if that would have been desirable. We tried to keep everything in sort of a certain range of power level, and I think we did a pretty good job of hitting it. Ryan, I'm sorry that you had a nasty surprise or two.
And for my mindset, I was actually like taking pictures of like Chris Perkins owning me with the spider and the Quohan. I think it's how you name it. The dragon. That combination. I was just like, can I take pictures of this army? Because I'm gonna try and get this stuff later. Even though that dragon's expensive, but one of these days I'm gonna get that thing.
Oh, the dragon. Oh, you mean so the spiders feel cheap to you?
Yeah, well, I don't have squads of those.
I need to go find 3D printed spiders.
Yeah, spiders are expensive right now. So.
Yeah, but spiders are so cool. They mix with a lot of different units in the game.
Oh, they're fun to animate and explode.
Yeah.
I can't imagine beating Chris Perkins with any army against any army.
I didn't beat him. He beat me. He.
Yes, right.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
It's like him. Who else? Dysel. I didn't call it a loss. I called it a learning experience, basically.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The sensei experience there.
I love the community. Like I've listened to Isaac Vega talk about God, what was the game that he made for Plaid Hat? With cards and dice.
Oh, Summoner Wars.
No, not Summoner Wars. Anyway, I'm so embarrassed. It's a great game that he made, and it invites a competitive setting. Isaac loved talking about the game, but was the first to admit that any number of guys were so much better than he was, which was, he was perfectly happy with. He would love being a designer. He did not claim to be the best at it. That's me.
No, that's fair.
And let's see here. And there's still more comments. There's a question here from Undamp Pick as well. It says, Dad Scaper, what is your favorite character you designed for AOA?
I love how there are so many. There are so many.
It's the process, and I'm thinking, is he thinking like, I can't reveal this one because it hasn't been released yet or talked about?
There's one that hasn't been released that I.
Oh,
nice.
Oh.
There are a couple pirates that I love. I love Bachburn.
Bachburn is cool.
I love the Admiral for different reasons. You guys wanted a deep dive, I think, into one or two of them, so I won't get ahead of myself there. I love the bears because the bears are something that I had a particular vision for from the very beginning. And I felt, maybe more than anywhere else, I felt like this is something that needs to be in the set. It needs to work this particular way. And I feel like I was able to deliver what I'd originally wanted. So I take a lot of pride with just the faction that the mini faction you see, the armor bears.
I love the level of detail of these miniatures too. Even though, of course, not painted, but that really, people says it takes away from it. I really don't see it taken away from just the level of detail of design of these miniatures. And these are just the 3D printed ones. These aren't the
minis are so good. They are so much better than any of the old minis. Like the best old minis, like Kato, that was a good mini.
Yeah.
Keimanawa was a good mini. They're not many. And at best, they're mediocre. These these are state of the art in a way that the old ones just were not. Like you look at just think like the minis, one of the gliders, he's in this pose like on the edge of the base with one foot coming forward. It is so expressive. Like here he is coming in for a landing. And then one of the wizards is like flying, and his cape is just is like the Drake one. There is something about the sculpt that is touching the ground that is not the figure, and that's what's holding up the figure. They are so good, these sculpts. And well, whatever. I'm tired of talking about the paint, but I'm happy to do it. If anybody out there on Twitch needs to hear it, I'm ready.
Yeah, I know it's a thing,
I'm ready.
but you're not going to hear any negativity with us, even though it's like, I mean, for me, I thought, it's like, okay, whatever, but it wasn't nowhere close to a deal breaker. Nowhere close to a deal breaker, because
there are lots of fair complaints about this campaign.
Sure.
I don't think that the paint, like the people who I talk to, who I respect, who want to talk about the paint, they say, I really like that the old ones were pre-painted, but I get it. Because I mean that's the reality now, is
the change in the market. Yeah,
it's not just the change in the market. When I was naive, when I was but a child with a 7-year-old boy at home or 8-year-old boy at home, it did not occur to me that a machine can mold all of these minis. That's done by machine. Machine does not paint the minis.
Right.
Tiny human hands paint the minis. That's a sweatshop industry.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
and if you studied about that in detail and in any sense of the word, that ain't good.
Yeah,
not
a good thing.
No. I'd rather paint myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, and you got some of you guys are wargamers, I think, right? So you guys already knew about the speed paint thing,
right? Yeah.
Hey, Jason, that's your department,
Jason
right?
does speed
That's
paint
my
videos.
department.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Yeah,
quite a bit.
Jason, that speed paint is amazing, isn't it? It sure looks amazing. Like, I'm ready.
Oh yeah, I haven't actually used the new Army Painter stuff yet, but I've used some of the contrast paints, and they're kind of the same thing with GW. If you use them right, you can do some cool stuff with them.
I'm ready. Sign me up. Like, I think, Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, but like a couple minutes with that, and you will end up with a better paint job than you would have gotten with any of the original Heroscape ones, except for maybe like Kato, like I said.
I mean, you can do stuff pretty fast. I'm putting my guys up here, but yeah, you can definitely very easily paint stuff better than the original Heroscape stuff.
Yeah.
I had the video I did with the little Maro puppy dog things, whatever those are called, the Margan Nagrubs or whatever.
Nagrubs,
Yeah.
And it took me in about 17 minutes, not even using speed paints, using mostly traditional miniature paints, I was able to paint a better paint job than what the guys did in the original set. So you can crank these things out pretty fast if you just learn basic techniques. It's not that hard to give these guys basic paint jobs.
Thank you. Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm really not afraid of painting them myself.
Okay.
And there's I found out the local game store near me, right? It's like not even a mile away, and they got all the paint that I could ever want. So like, I'm probably gonna end up bugging them and just like, hey, so what do you suggest? And just kind of like get their feedback and try to, I'll show them the minis and be like, what do you think would look good with this? And things like that.
Another thing about the painting, I hadn't even thought of this, but when I first mentioned to my son, hey, the new Heroscape, and this is something he grew up with Heroscape.
Right.
I said to him, in the new one, it's not going to be painted. And he said, oh, that'll give the community something to talk about when they come out. And I thought, oh my God, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Like they would be
weird
for painting your Heroscape figures. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. So anyway, I'm tired of hearing about the paint. And now my presentation. Nobody asked.
How about we
these
move
guys
on
make
to something?
400. These guys make 400 million pounds a year with that marketing ploy. So
That's funny.
convincing people to paint their own miniatures can result in lots of money for your company.
How about we move on to something a little bit less divisive, like the marketing strategy for Avalon Hill, shall we?
Fun. Yeah.
No, it's just no. This is just questions from Stormbrook, and if you want to, Dapscaper, just say refer to Patrick. That's fine because we're trying to get Patrick on anyway. But let me just ask the questions, and we'll give you a fair shake with it. Okay, Stormbrook asks. Hey, do you guys think if we reach 4K, they'll reconsider their market strategy? I think they should do a dual tier system. And also, what will Avalon Hill do in order to reach 8K?
I mean, so first of all, we're talking about things. So if I had inside knowledge, this is squarely within something I'm not allowed to discuss.
Right. Sure. That would make sense.
I can say and because I saw and Carmine post this morning something like we're looking at different options.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's not something I don't need to be inside information guy on that. I just need to have been on the Discord mid-morning Eastern time when he happened to
standing
post
on
that.
your head as long as the sun is shining through your window. Yes. You got to find it at those times. It's like college almost.
Yeah, because no matter who you are, if you love or hate whatever's going on, you want Heroscape back.
Yeah.
And even though I think a lot of us could agree that maybe going the HasLab route isn't the best scenario, but no matter what we see right now, we love.
Yeah.
I keep saying it, what you guys presented, even day one, when we all saw the teaser trailer, I was all in.
Yeah.
Well, your brain literally exploded, and there's evidence.
You had us with the dragon with the wings, okay? Yeah. Now that we know it's Xenothrax,
it's important not to lose that point, because there are people out there saying right now, well, Hasbro bad intention. We would not be here having this conversation. I would not be with you four handsome gentlemen right now, but for Hasbro.
Right.
I mean,
and unfortunately, a lot of people just don't know that because they don't read the Discord, they don't see these videos, So
I'm not worried about them. Yeah. And people are allowed to be misguided. People are allowed not to be watching this video we're making right now. God love them all. Mm-hmm. But for us, I'll leave it to and Carmine to talk about what choices were best and maybe not best or whatever. That's all. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about what Hasbro wanted. And what Hasbro wanted and still wants, I'm sure, is for Heroscape to return to
be
success.
Successful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's the point of running a business. No matter how big or small, you want things to be successful.
I'll tell you what's happening right now as far as design work I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not for Age of Annihilation.
Nice.
But I'm still doing design work
for Heroscape, though. Yeah. Okay. I got that. Yeah. And you've dropped a few things. I don't know if people have noticed this, but you've dropped the fact that there's common squads on the shelf. I don't know if anybody picked that up, but and I'm sure that's been confirmed.
That to me, that's not to me not new information.
Okay, well,
I'm pretty sure
because I don't pay attention to everything.
What?
Especially the last few weeks.
Oh my God, where are you?
Huh? With my wife.
That was early. Like that, we knew that was going to be on the table. If this goes forward at the speed of light, we would have gotten commons, and we would have had easy 4 or 5 squads of whatever. And the fact that we've finally got our 5-member squad army, 5-member squad character card. I can't even imagine what other rules we could be breaking, or I should say the patterns that we should be breaking for the future.
I
That's always
multi-life squad.
like a
the multi-life squads. Yeah.
Well, yeah, multi-life squads. But I was gonna say maybe a 3-spaced figure.
That's what
he's like throwing. Hey, can you bring this to the design table?
Because I've had quite the debate with some of the Facebook people ages ago about having that, because we have a 12,000K Deathwalker that my buddy painted, and he found a model from man, I don't know what game it was. He'll know. But it's a metal cast, but it's 3 bases. It's 3, and I said, well, how does that walk? That wouldn't work. It's like, no, I'm pretty sure that could work. I'm pretty sure that could work the same way a double base would. But
you would need special movement rules, but why not?
Sure. Yeah.
There's already a 6-base figure.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And I totally lost my.
But the
train of
hive
thought,
doesn't move though.
That's okay.
Right. Well, right. So it has movement 0. That's how they solved it. Which is in its own way, it's a special movement rule. But
you just gave him an idea.
And when you're dealing with like a home custom, you could make the rules as long as you want. You're not limited by the space on the card.
Oh yeah.
Write your own set of rules for how this 3-space figure will move.
I had one. I took a portal turret from the Portal board game, and obviously the portal turrets, if maybe you're not familiar, don't move. They kind of just get placed down. The main character of that game, GLaDOS, makes this whole test chamber thing and puts them in places. And so I'm like, well, how am I supposed to do that? How am I supposed to make them move? So, well, I figured, you know what? What if I had medium to large and huge characters be able to pick them up when you're adjacent to them, and then they can place it down, and then on their turn, then they could move and attack, or I should say, be able to attack on their turn. So you still have to put one order marker on the character that moves the character, and then the second order marker would be on the turret itself. But we also had a second ability that Go ahead.
I'm thinking. Right. So the order marker on the carrier doesn't activate the turret.
No, it just allows it to be picked up.
The order marker on the turret only triggers if the turret has been successfully placed.
Right.
That's an interesting gamble for when you place the order marker on the carrier. Like, you better get it somewhere where you can put it down. Otherwise, that order marker is lost.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
But we had another ability on there that, because the turrets in Portal, they don't just activate on free will, they activate on a sensor. So I was trying to, I think this was the big thing, because I didn't know how to figure out what would be, I guess, in range. How do you, it's kind of like knowing now because of the elementals, or at least the custom one that we have. The big wind guy. I can't think of his name.
Boreas.
Yeah, Boreas. Has that range of 2 that you can't walk into.
Yeah, you end up with these kinds of things. This would be very difficult to do inside the C3V.
Sure.
Because you're doing things that rules lawyers really struggle with. But in a home game, you would have rules like you could have comes within 6 spaces of, and then that would be the range.
Right.
On its turn, comes within 6 spaces of, then, and then some kind of effect. But what you can't have, I think, even in a home game, it would get really complicated, is the other guy on its turn comes within 6 spaces, then you do your attack, because your attack isn't supposed to happen on your opponent's turn.
Right.
But you
that
could have a D20 effect,
sure,
on an 11 to 18 put one moon marker on a 19 or 20, put 2 moon markers. You could do that.
Yeah. No, for sure. That's not a bad idea. Yeah, at least give it the chance. It's not automatic.
Yeah.
Automatic 2 dice, because I also had Deadly Strike on it. But that's, that's neither here or there with 2 dice.
Nice.
The last thing that card would need is Deadly Strike.
Yeah,
it's going to be so complicated to get the other effects you want that you probably need to avoid.
Extra rules.
And Deadly Strike is something that happens on attacks, and attacks happen on your turn, and this is something that you want to be happening ideally in the other
What's
guy.
What's the one that the
Joe, is this why I'm on here?
Yes.
Ryan, did you bring me on this show so that I could help Joe with his customs?
I want to pick your brain. I want to make customs. I want to do a lot of episodes about making customs.
Here we go.
Picking your brain is that's what I'm interested in.
That's fun.
Joe, get a hold of me and I'll come on your show and help you with your customs.
All right.
Nice.
A lot of other games are the concept of Overwatch, which is basically attacking on the opponent's turn. 40K, Star Wars Legion, Firestorm Armada, they all have this stuff, but they're not more complex than what you'd find in Heroscape, because you usually have tokens to track whether you're in this guard mode or Overwatch mode to shoot, or they occur when a very certain thing happens where someone charges into combat with you. Very predictable things. And it gets in those games though, it's tolerating a little more bookkeeping like that is fine, where you don't really do that in Heroscape.
Yeah, because the rules are on the right, Jason. The rules are on the cards in Heroscape, which would makes it harder to do that kind of thing.
Because like 40K has like a 100-page rule book to it, plus your 100-page codexes with everything in it. So the fact you have 7 more things to keep track of about what your character is doing that turn is perfectly fine with the players, because that's what they're used to. Whereas like Heroscape, you have your 3 rules in your cards, and you don't really have a whole lot of stuff outside of that for tracking what's going on in the game. You only have wound tokens, really. Right. So,
and that's the magic of Heroscape, because it is simple but yet so complex at the same time.
I asked Craig, Ryan, I know you're about to get to another question, but this is story time with Dadscaper, I think.
Okay.
This will be
No problem.
All right. So, Joe, one time at Gen Con, first of all, this is like Craig and his attachment to the game. If you were a regular Gen Con, you would see Craig during Gen Con once or twice. He'd come around, just walk past the Heroscape tables, watch what everyone's doing. One time he did that, or maybe a couple times he did that. He had Rob DeVoe with him. Like this, the community is real in this game. So anyway, one time I was standing on the side with Craig. I was just making small talk with him, and I said, "And why is this game and the community? Why is the community around this game better than the community around other games? Because it just is." And he said to me, "Because it's a game that parents buy to play with their kids."
Yeah.
So and so Jason, that's what you're talking about with the rule books. Joe, that's what you're talking about, the difference between Heroscape and other games. That's it in a nutshell.
Yep.
All right. Did we ever get to the marketing question, Ryan, that you were leading up to?
No, well, and there's actually something that I want to talk about when it comes to that. Something that you probably can answer when it comes to this. But just give me a moment. I do want to, because the stream comments keep on piling up. So I'm just going to move on with these for a second. Undamp Pick asks, what was the inspiration for the Bear Paladins?
So the Bears were not the earliest faction that I pitched to Craig, but I saw the shape of like the other things, like the space bugs were in, my warring wizards were in, pirates were in, docks things, a couple of docks things were already in, and the Rise of the Valkyrie, it didn't have knights, but it had Vikings. It was a little kind of like knights. There was nothing in this box there was nothing in this box as I saw it. I mean, there were heroes. Like there were like I was already working on Bonnie, who I saw as a heroic figure, but there weren't paladins. And when I say paladin, I don't mean in the Dungeons and Dragons sense. I mean in the sort of more classic sense. I mean
the Charlemagne,
the noblest of the Charlemagne, Sir Galahad. Those guys weren't in this fight, and I felt like the box was not complete without Sir Galahad represented at the table.
Nice.
And that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted for the Bears. I wanted them, put them in armor and let them be, Jandar or, a noble general. And in the end, they were Jandar. That was all important to me from the very beginning. And also, I wanted them to be simple to play, which is not to say not competitive or like Ryan, from ScapeCon. It's one thing for a unit to be simple to play. It's another thing to be able to play it at a level where you're going to crush everybody.
Doesn't mean they're easy. Simple.
Yeah,
mean
right.
Easy.
Right. Like you could give them to me and I won't get the results that they would get in the hands of Kevin Dola or Doc.
Right.
They'll do, but like I can play them. Yeah. And it was also very important to me that they were hooked into the champion synergy web. That's what I wanted.
We were excited about that part.
Yeah.
For sure when that came up. Yep.
And I think I actually bought Alistair MacDurk when I saw that because I was like, oh, time to get him. Like,
that Jeremy, he knows a thing or two. Yeah, they like Alistair.
That's so cool.
So can I ask a question about the design process? There's something popped in my head here.
Yeah, go ahead.
So when you were designing the abilities with all the new units, how much were you thinking about how they would interact with the original set of units? Like you're talking about the champion thing going on right there, because you have the old human champions and whatnot from the previous version of Heroscape.
There were a lot of needles that we had to thread, and one of them was this one. I want any one of you Grognards, when you open up this box, to think to yourselves, what kind of devilishness can I pull off with the Widow's higher crew ability?
I'm so excited about that.
Isn't that awesome?
It is so cool.
Mara Warrior Pirates.
The samurai pirates, man.
Yeah.
Bring this up real quick.
But even without that, how much damage can she do with that ability and the bears?
Yeah, just the set
itself. That's a unique melee squad that it will mess you up. So yeah, she loves the bears. She also loves the Izumi Samurai. She bring it on, Awesome. Like let's go deep dive into your dusty bin of unused Heroscape cards and see what we can find in there. So Jason, here's the short answer to your question. We wanted you guys to have that experience of opening the box and like, oh, look what I can do with this. Look what I can do. But we also wanted, my friends who I see playing disc golf, like Heroscape. I love that game. I got it to play with my son. Like those guys who I see playing disc golf, what do they have at home? Nothing like what you guys have in your basements, I'm sure. But they could also open the box and be like, oh, look, this could, hire crew. I could get this 5-figure melee squad. I could do that. So there's what I needed to, I say which is a terrible thing to say, and I didn't mean for that to slip out that way. What we all wanted to do was to have something for you guys and something for my disc golf buddies.
That's cool. Sure. Like I recently with the arrival of an Age of Annihilation, I've been going to the local game store and been teaching one of my old coworker buddies. Right, I got him into D&D, and the funny thing is like he's never played D&D before ever. Right, so I run a whole campaign and everything, and he ends up taking like some of the talks and some of the stuff we were talking about back home, and like writes up this like 2-page backstory for his character. And like once again, he's never done Dungeons and Dragons before, and he comes to me and he's just like, "Can I play this?" And he hands me this sheet of paper, and I'm reading this. I'm like, "Bro, you did all this research by yourself? Like, this is your first time playing D&D? Are you sure this is your first time playing D&D?" And he's like, "Yeah, I've never played this game before." And he was so into it, like he loved it. And
was it a pre-written adventure?
I used the Eberron storyline because that's one of my favorites. And he got so into it. So Heroscape comes, like the announcement comes out. So I'm like, first person I think about is this guy who just got super deep into Dungeons and Dragons because of me.
Yeah.
And he came over one day, and I was actually on stream. I taught him how to play on stream, and then we were at the game store, and he actually last game we had, he beat me. Like was awesome. It's awesome because he was like super vested into it. Like, and I showed him some of the armies. He picked out his favorite. He played it, and I helped out too, right? Because I'm not the type of person like I'm not gonna tell you how to play it. You're gonna figure it out yourself. No, like if he had a question, I'd be like, no, you gotta do this. But like he got into it and he loved it.
Yeah.
But
you just want to help them along enough so that everyone's having fun, right? I mean,
absolutely. Yeah. But like that's the thing. He's never played, so he's seen this new stuff and he's already into it because he's just like. He's getting the taste of it from all the old characters, and he's going to see.
That makes me happy.
Yeah, he's seen the new stuff. He's super excited about it. So.
You guys were asking a bunch of questions. I think Ryan, especially, you've been asking questions about the design process. And I was just talking, and this is not the first time it came up, about the Widow's higher crew ability.
Yeah.
I love one of the things that I love doing is coming up with names of powers.
Yeah.
That tell because oftentimes that's where the story of the unit comes in. So we had this idea sort of pretty late in the process that it would be really cool if she could bring on another unit this way. So some of you may already have seen, because I already posted this on Heroscapers, but Ryan, you already told me you don't read anything.
Look, I've been spending the last several years animating the damn game, okay? I don't have time to read. This is what I got Jeremy for. Jeremy, I blame you.
So Jeremy already knows what I'm about to say. But like I was thinking, what is it?
I did read it, yeah.
Yeah. There's like this term. I know what like a press gang is the old days, like when the Navy would need sailors to outfit these ships that were going over the ocean, and half these sailors would never come back, and the other ones who did come back would be missing a leg or whatever. So they would like grab poor people and shove them on the ships, and that was a press gang. But I knew that was like the old days of the military, and I was thinking, how is it that the pirates actually got people to come on board of their ships and be pirates? And so I did some research on it, and then I discovered that the way they did it was they paid them. And that was it. Like for the pirates, it was that simple. Just pay them and they'll come, because, that's better than getting press ganged. So that's where the inspiration for the name Higher Crew came from. Ryan, you were asking about design process. And the reason why I like telling that story about design process is because it illustrates that we really tried to get everything just so. Even that, which looks simple, for me as the guy who was working on it, it is just so.
Ideas like that don't just come like that. Like, oh, I'm working on pirates. We'll have them hire people. Okay, great. Doesn't come naturally.
No, there was some research. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
and for all of us being creators and creatives, ideas. Sometimes you got to sit back, relax, go do something else. Forget about things.
Buck Blackburn intimidate power. That's another example of something that came from a very specific place.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and one thing that popped in my mind too is like during the process of like creating the characters and like, okay, I want these to be miniatures. Where does the playtesting happen? You know, at what time in the process do you start playtesting these things and hashing out? Because I mean, I know Jason has created his own and shameless plug, created his own miniature war game on spaceship battles, and I remember playtesting that, and it was a lot of playtesting to hash out all the rules and make sure everything flows as well as you possibly can make it.
Jason, I'm curious for your response to this, considering that you've been in the position of the game designer before. I was actually reluctant even to see it revealed that our playtesters, Super Frog, Scytail, Vegetarian 18, were still playtesting the game when we brought them on a few months ago. It wasn't even a few months ago. It was, a month, 5 weeks, maybe.
Right.
Because I know that the word playtesting will mean different things to different projects. Not different people, but different projects. So, Jason, I don't know what you were looking for when you were having, Ryan playtest your game. The people who we brought on board to playtest, we didn't expect to give us raw data. If what we wanted was raw data, Joe, we could have used you. What we wanted, I know, right? You and lots of other people make a line. It would be a long line. What we knew exactly what we wanted. We wanted Scytail. We wanted Vegetarian 18. We wanted Super Frog. We wanted people whose level of playtesting was above the production of raw data, and people who we knew from long experience could look at things. And so, like, if Super Frog looks at my design and says, that's not worth 140 points, that's more like 170, I immediately, am rethinking based on that input alone. He hasn't even tested it yet. He's not played a game yet. But I know from working with him how much stock to put in input like that. And I don't need to tell any of you who are familiar with any of the customs projects at Heroscapers what Scytail brings to the table. He's a machine.
Right.
When it comes to skill at evaluating and also editing, he's a machine. So that's not, Joe, I know you'd love to do it, but that's not raw data from Joe, what I'm getting from Scytail. That's something very different.
It's like difference between algebra and calculus,
Yeah.
Yeah. So like Jason, you had a game. I don't know what you were looking for from your play testers, but I mean, if you were looking for like smoothness of the rules or maybe whatever, but I suspect each project comes to that stage looking for different things. And that's where we were.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of like with my with my game, there's an initial part where I was trying to get the balance right with the point values approximately where they should be as best I could. And when that was all sorted out, then you brought in some more people, and that was more of the smoothness of the rules, making sure that the rules are written out and the people interpreted them as the way they were supposed to be interpreted, and also kind of watching people, seeing what they did with the rules to see if they actually interact with them the way that you wanted them to, and they wouldn't find some weird thing you never thought of before. Yeah, like I said, there's about 4 or 5 different ways you can go about what you want to get out of playtesting.
Yeah.
Good.
For sure. All right. Yeah. Good discussion. Now, I said it previously talking about the crowdfunding campaign, and when it comes to like, this is mostly on Patrick's and Carmine's end, but I think there's a question that I can ask that you might be able to answer, Dadscaper. So let me just present it and see what we can do. Now, we're about a week and a few days away from the end of the crowdfunding campaign, and I'm curious because Chris and Carmine mentioned this from his interview a few weeks back, but just to double confirm with yourself, how much development, and you kind of hinted on this already a little bit, but how much development work is being done currently, if any? I'm sure there is, though.
So sort of the end of the story about playtesting was, I knew what type of playtesting we needed, and it was the playtesting that, to my mind, comes near the end. Like the powers, the shape of each unit was pretty close to where we wanted it to be. Some things were likely still going to change. Some things did change since we brought on the playtesters, all to the better. Thank God they showed up when we did. We really wanted them. We finally got them. So that's where that was. That process is really winding down now. That process is winding down. The development work that I'm doing now is the development work that you've already been told is being done, which is looking beyond Age of Annihilation.
Right.
That's what I'm doing.
So work is still, though, being done. I think I'm trying to quote Chris in saying that even up until the end of the campaign, like, the team is working on getting the stuff ready to be just ready to go out the door as soon as the campaign ends.
Yeah. He told you we are treating this like it's going to succeed. Yep. He told you that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. You've been listening.
I'm just on the team. I have no influence on the team. I'm just on the team, but I am happily treating this project as if it's going to succeed. I'm working on what's beyond. I love some of the designs I'm working on right now. I love them. I hope you all get to see them.
Yeah. Because one of the things I decided to do, because I wanted to spread the word and try to get as many people to know about it, because it's like I don't have a huge audience, but it's like I got a audience, so it's like, let me try to do my best. And one experience I had, I'm sitting there playing Heroscape at the game store, and I get surrounded. There was a D&D group. They were doing it was like 6 people were playing. I think it was Curse of Strahd, so the vampire story, right? And they're just playing, and they're having a great time, right? I can kind of hear them off in the distance.
I ran that for a while. Yeah, I love that.
It's a good campaign, yeah. And they're playing, and I'm like, this is pretty cool. And so all 6 of them, after they had finished, they're getting ready to leave. They come up to me, right? And I'm sitting there, I'm playing Heroscape, and they're like, "You've got to tell me about this." And I handed it. Yeah, all I did was just hand them these flyers. So I got a couple of these printed, so I could help out. And I handed them these flyers. It's like, we're getting this crowdfunded right now. If you want to pitch in, you're going to be able to get everything you see on that piece of paper. And they were just like, "Oh my gosh, it's so cool!" And it's just the invitation, right? It's all this open invitation that draws people all the time, and it's just regardless, everyone's saying these fatalist statements of all this stuff, and I'm just like, look, no matter what, like, it's still gonna thrive. Like, you can't kill this game.
Yeah, it's hard. I don't, you don't want to be fatalist.
Right.
About the success of the campaign, and so I'm not. Yeah, and I'll still have credit to. By the way, Ryan, you mentioned ScapeCon before. Credit to Mike OEAO and the guys who do that. I think that's also been important for the community in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I think that keeps energy level up. That's why.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we had the return to local events in the Maryland area, not because of me. But my son's off of college. I'm ready to be done running tournaments. That's not true. I still would, but I'm ready. But it was other local guys who were inspired by ScapeCon, running local events. But I mean, you say that, Jeremy, that the game's going to keep going, and it will. It will. But you're breaking down those maps after the tournament. Every now and then, that little 7 hexer little. There goes another one.
Yeah, I broke one already. That was.
It's hard.
Yeah.
I mean, it is painful. Like I hot glue them back together as if I don't have 1,000 more.
Yeah.
I'm hot gluing another water tile as if I'm gonna run out. but it's not gonna. It's forever's a long time.
Right.
It would be really nice if this succeeds.
Yeah.
And
I think it will.
For sure. And I have actually when we end this, I do have an ending rant about some of the things that I've been.
Ryan with a rant? No way.
Oh, get ready.
No.
Get ready. But
my seatbelt on.
I actually do have we've covered a lot. And I do have a final question. But anything, Jason, Joe, Jeremy, that you wanted to cover with Dadscaper before that? Now is your time.
Actually, I got something.
Go ahead.
This really funny coincidental experience. So I like meshing. I have to explain it a certain way, but like when certain events happen all together, right? And it just creates this experience you can't really replicate, right? It's just this really cool experience. You have multiple things happening all at once, and they all kind of seem to line up. So with the Dawn Raider Syndicate, right? I really feel like they showed up at the time they needed to show up, right? Like it's just concept, aesthetic, theme, everything. Because as a content creator, I play various brands and stuff like that, various franchises I introduced to my community, and I got my friend introduced me to Destiny 2, right? Long story short, first-person shooter space magic game, right? You control these awesome powers of the universe, but you also have to like save the universe. And they recently introduced a storyline in August, so it was August 23rd. So we got the Heroscape announcement in August, and then the Dawn Raider faction was introduced. And then August 23rd in Destiny, they introduced us to pirates as well. And then I'm just like, oh my goodness, right? Like, and so I'm just I'm enmeshed, right? It was time. The pirates are here. And oh man, it was the September 19th, right? Talk Like a Pirate Day, or International Talk Like a Pirate Day. I made that mention in Carmine about, you got to do this pirate voice because it's Talk Like a Pirate Day. And as soon as, he drops that launch with the Admiral and Killian Vane III in the pirate voice, at the same day that Destiny dropped the music for their pirate theme.
I remember you posting about that on the Discord, didn't you?
Yeah. So I actually have a video idea. I'm gonna do this before the campaign ends. I'm releasing a Dawn Raider Syndicate advertisement. Essentially, you should join the pirates because they, you can fight in the battle of time and we pay you. That's the thing I'm gonna use. And because
Ryan, I have a short rant before your rant, by the way.
Oh no, that's fine. No, yeah, mine will be at the very, very end. That's when it'll be my sign off. Okay. But yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
It'll be after I get dumped. All right, I got it.
Yeah. But no, I just want to say, like, overall, super cool concept, and I really, even as a pirate fanboy, like, I was super excited to see them all come out.
So here's something that makes me very happy. I have seen a lot of feedback about the campaign, which is something that I had no control over.
Right.
That, for the most part, I think has been fair, and I imagine many people working on the campaign would agree that it's been fair. What I hear about the designs of the units, it's been literally universally positive as far as I've seen. If people have critical, unkind things to say, I don't want to discourage them from saying them. I'm just saying wherever those things are, I haven't even seen them yet. The community has been so kind to those of us who did the design work. Yeah, and one thing that I don't think I mentioned earlier, and I just want to be clear about, is Craig has absolutely led the design work. Everything has passed under his hand. His feedback when he's offered it has been like, "Oh my God, that is so smart." And that's saying something. When he says something like that, and Cytail and Doc and I are like, "Oh." That's saying something because he's talking to people who are not new to this. So yeah, I wanted to say that. But anyway, thank you, Jeremy.
Yeah.
I love the Pirates too.
I think the last thing I did that day was turn on Pirates of the Caribbean. I finished my evening watching Curse of the Black Pearl one more time. So that was in honor of the Dawn Raider Syndicate. I brought that series back. So this is pretty great. It was a good time.
Well, if I may ask, because we talked about the Dawn Raiders so much, and I don't think we didn't talk enough about the Dryans.
That's fair, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would say the two that I'm most excited for are Rakshot and Zenithrax.
Okay.
And we have not seen any of their abilities yet. Is there anything that you can tease us with for those, or maybe talk about how they even work with their familiars? Because that's to me is also incredibly unique, since there's no squads in that entire faction, and I find that to be incredibly fascinating as an angle.
So mechanically, I already told you what inspired the Bears. The Bears came from a sense of something that the box needed, sort of conceptually. The Dryan came from a very different place. And Joe, remind me, I'm going to get back to giving an actual answer to your question. First, I'm giving a not answer.
Sure.
It was the original designers, when they were making the D&D waves, did some of the best design work that the game had before its cancellation. I think we saw in the late stages of the game's cycle some of the best that it had to offer. Like the Death Chasers, introduced something so new into his system that had been around for so long already. Like, oh my God, move them before the game starts.
Oh yeah, it's scary too.
I have so much respect for what that design team did during those waves. So during that time, Grunge Bob, Jerry Hawthorne, designed the green scales, bonding with like these lizard creatures that bond with dragons. Like how that was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But it was also like a few years too late for the faction because the dragons had no relationship with the green scales. So like this is, I told you before, like Doc said to me, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, he said, well, we're standing on the shoulders of giants. What if those guys had the opportunity to release the entire faction all at once, or design the entire faction all at once? Here are the dragons, here are the green scales, here are other things that fit in with the faction. That was the inspiration for the pirates, mechanically. That was the inspiration.
Okay.
So I mean, we don't have dragons. We have captains. But I want the captains are all these different colorful creatures. And then like this whole sort of like the whole like synergy going up and down in every which way. It's like a sort of a reflective Greenscales relationship. Which the original designers never had a chance to do. The Dryan, so it's a really, really tight synergy web. The Dryan, very different. Dryan were inspired by the Deathwalkers because like the early game had these like walking like that was a big part of the early game. They didn't have anything to do with each other. They just sort of walked around and shot at stuff.
Deathwalkers, but yeah.
And so like sort of mechanically, like I already told you, like the first came the story of these like warring wizards, but then I like, how are they going to fit in the box? I thought there's not going to be that same sort of really tight synergy web. So I think you've already seen some designs out of the faction.
A little bit. Yeah.
They don't have that same structure like this that the pirates do. Or that some of the other factions do. They sort of lumber around and they do their things. And then it was like I already had a bunch of them mapped out, and Craig was like, "Hey, how about if we make familiars that you can mix and match with?" Awesome. So anyway, that's
cool.
Yeah, that's where we ended up. Now you asked particularly about Zenith Rex and Ratshot, right? Which are designs that are not out. What do you want me to say, Joe? What do you want me to say?
Determining.
Well, I know. At the Avalon Hill PulseCon panel, they talked. Craig had teased a bit about Rackshot being able to, I guess, walk over and like either gain health or gain abilities from the death of
consume the dead. Yeah,
consume the dead. I think was what he had mentioned was the ability name, and I thought that was like, what could that mean? What is that? You know, like how could that work? Do you have to put a pip down? He walks over to the pip. That, you know. So I was just trying to see if there was any maybe a little bit more of explanation of what that particular ability, since that at least that was said, if that could be said.
Mm-hmm.
He's a chicken.
So, Jeremy, you're a well-read man.
Yeah, so think about
that. yeah.
I'm not looking. If you nodded, I missed it.
Oh no! Yeah.
He stared blatantly into the screen for about 20 seconds.
I remember the last question, the Pride and Prejudice question I got wrong, so I'm just like, I don't want two shots already.
Oh. Oh wait, which one did you get wrong? Because I did another one recently that nobody even.
I saw that. Yeah, you quoted the drink one. There was the first one was the Flight of Fancy. The Flight of Fancy.
But that's exactly where my head was going. Like,
right.
How cool, Joe, do you want them to be? Those two designs.
Cool. Very cool.
I have exciting news for you. They're that cool.
Yeah.
They're even cooler.
Very good. I'm happy with that. Yes.
So this is the line that I have somewhat paraphrased. Put in my signature block. So those of you who are on Heroscapers to see where I post, which is many of you, but not some of you, because I think Ryan doesn't actually have a Heroscapers account. I could be wrong.
No, I do. Tales of Valhalla, the issue. Tales of Valhalla official. Yes, I'm on there. I'm just not.
Okay, good. Excellent. So, as busy as Ryan is, those of you watching at home, as busy as Ryan is, he has a Heroscapers account. So can you?
There you go.
The line, as I paraphrase it, is: suppose as much as you choose, give loose to your fancy, indulge your imagination in every possible flight which the subject will afford. So, Joe, I nailed those designs. I nailed them.
Nice.
For you.
Thank you.
And just in case you were curious, when I point like this, it's a Joe.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Very good.
All right. Anything else, guys?
So I want to ask one more quick question about the playtesting process, because you talked a little bit about how you kind of roughly came up with a point value. You're talking to the other designer, oh, it's more like 170 points or whatnot. From there, is there a more formal process of building army lists, playing them back and forth, recording lots of data, and trying to tease out exactly if those numbers are accurate relative to each other? Or is...
So there are different ways you can do playtesting. There is, you with an army of people, you could reduce it to something essentially mathematical.
Yeah.
I don't even think that's true. I regret saying that. I don't even think that's true. I think with
the game.
Right. I think with Heroscape, you have a game in which there are only, I mean, there are the best players in the world, and you know, there are only so many of them, and and I have access to enough of those people on my list of playtesters in this project that I'm satisfied that we're doing a pretty good job. Now, what do I mean by pretty good job? This is an important question, because when we're designing, what would count as a mistake? The difference between a B plus unit and a B unit, that's not a mistake. If we aim for B plus and it turns out that it's a B, that's okay. And we're not even aiming for any, really. What we're aiming for is not busted up or down. Anything within that range, I am excited to see what the community discovers about what we've done. I'm satisfied that the quality of our playtesting, as I've described it, was good enough to make sure that it's not, we're within this range. But the short answer to your question is, we have a bunch of experts look at each design, theoryscape it, like we think this is what it's, and then play a bunch of games with it and see how it plays. Every unit in the box has been played a bunch of times. Not in some rigorous mathematical way. We just, different ones appear to need different kinds of testing and get different kinds of testing.
Good. All right. Well, I will ask, and what we usually do. So, for those of you watching this on YouTube or through the ToV Podcast audio, I'm not going to address comments from the previous podcast. I'll do that next week.
You're going to skip my rant, aren't you? You're about to skip my rant.
No. I'm gonna let. That's why I'm clearing
his
the way.
YouTube questions.
I'm clearing away. Yeah,
he usually does a whole
YouTube
segment.
Questions. Yeah. Because there's a few, and as well as other details in the last few weeks. We're gonna get all those next week. And I know there's a lot of comments on Twitch, and I see you guys, and I thank you guys for commenting. But I'm trying to keep a time limit tonight. There's a reason. And I apologize, but I am trying to keep a time limit tonight. So what I'm gonna do now is just go straight to the close, as if those of you familiar how this is closed. And thank you Jeremy for commenting too, for those guys on Twitch.
Yeah, I got you.
To keep the conversation going. I appreciate that. So what we usually do for close, and Dadscaper, I'll start with you, and so you can do your rant. And usually, you give final thoughts, but I'm going to give you a final question, actually. And this might actually end up being the final thought. Might lead to a rant. And then when you're done, then just say your name, where you're from, and then I'll go to somebody else for their final thoughts and give their plug-in, and then last will be myself. So this is the question I have for you, Dadscaper. at this time, I mean, we're about a week away from the crowdfunding close, a little bit more than a week. Is there anything you would want to say to the community and those who are just discovering Heroscape directly? What would you want to say with them? And for that, and for your rant, the floor is yours.
I love that prompt. It does connect with something that I wanted to say. People coming in now I'm happy and excited for them because they're getting ready to discover one of the nice parts of the internet. So like if you go on Heroscapers or whatever, it's overwhelming. It's the amount of content on that board or even on the Discord. It's just by Discord's nature. Everything is overwhelming. But the good news is like everybody there wants to be helpful. And if you're at all, like if you don't want to post or whatever, just send me a message. It's Dadscaper on Heroscapers or, DS37, whatever it is, 3272 on the Discord. Just shoot me a message. I would love to hear from you and I'll point you in the right direction if it's not me. And if I can answer your question, I will. So, welcome aboard. I love to see people ask questions that are like, hey, I'm new here. I have this question. That's okay. That's okay. Thank you so much for having me on here. Jeremy, Joe, Ryan, all you guys with your fancy... Jason, I don't think this applies to you. All you guys with your fancy, like, purple or whatever names on the Discord, how come my name isn't some funny color? How come my name is just, like, white and boring like everybody else's? Jason, do you have a purple name on there also? You probably do.
I'm not aware of this purple name thing, so I don't know what that's about. I don't normally post
the Nitro Boost. The Nitro Boost. That's...
Okay.
I
don't know anything.
I just got a banner up here that wants me to do a free trial and give me $2.99 a month for Nitro Boost.
I keep on blocking that
thing. I've been waiting on the Discord for me to get like so that like when people know it's like, hey, this jerk actually has something to do with the project and isn't just being, some know-it-all.
I always think it's funny when someone argues.
In a way, that's my rant. I mean, I actually know what the reason is. The reason is because you guys are content creators, and because you guys had a special role at the PulseCon event.
Yeah,
tiny one.
And I mean, the content creators on YouTube. It's something for everything I've done. That's something that I could never do. It's not as far outside my wheelhouse, and it's just such a huge value add because Joe, like you said at the very beginning, like people just go on, or this might have been before we were recording. It was like people go on YouTube. People go on YouTube and they look to see what's out there, and they'll find you guys. They won't find me. So I want to thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be on this program. And I want to thank you for having. For all the people out there who are connecting to the community this way. So those are my final words. Thank you again for having me.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure. Jeremy, go ahead. Final thoughts.
It was an absolute blast to be able to talk to you and kind of get, the backstory about behind the designs and the factions and stuff. It just, you get those experiences. You ever well, I'm going to say, bear with me. I say back in the day as if it was forever ago, but like with DVDs, right? And you got the behind the scenes stuff on DVDs and, or they started adding that recently to some of the streaming services where you watch the conceptual process to these things that we love so much. And so actually being able to talk to you about that was an absolute treat. So thank you for coming in and giving us your time and sharing your ideas with us and stuff like that. Final thoughts. We got 1 week. We got 9 days. Do everything we can to share the HasLab, talk to your friends, talk to people, and I know I'm going to be going to the game store this week. Going to be doing a couple more rounds of Heroscape, trying to get random people involved. Like I might start waving them down at this point, but like because they do. I've seen them pass by and then they'll stop. They'll stop moving. They'll just look at what I'm doing and then slow down and then walk off. But it's like it is. I'm telling you, Heroscape in itself, just the concept alone, stops people from their busy days. They want to know more about it, right? And you might be that person that they need to hear it from. So honestly, talk to everybody. You don't know who you're going to be able to get into this game, and regardless of the situation of the crowdfund, which I do know there's a lot of opinions about, there's still 9 days left, right? And we can do this, right? If we work together and we stop fighting with each other, we work together and share this passion we have for this game. I see great things in the future. So that's what I'm going to be doing this week. I'm going to be sharing it there, making some more videos. I did this thing where I was going to challenge myself every 50 backers we get on the HasLab camera. Every 50 backers, I was going to do a lore video, right? I told myself that I was going to do that, and I announced it on Thursday. And I work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so 3 shifts, right? I worked my 3 shifts, and I came back, and now I have to make 4 videos. That was all y'all, okay? I said 50 backers, and in the time I worked my 3 shifts, 200 people. And I'm not saying it was just me, but I'm like, you guys put me to work now. So now I got to do 4 videos this week. And I want to see keep growing, because I will be doing a lore video every 50 backers, guaranteed, about Heroscape. And I started off with Valhalla. We're going to talk about all the stuff, right? Because there's a lot of lore topics I've been seeing people ask about. It's been like really exciting to bring back, and be like, oh yeah, no, this is what Mars all about. This is what Phelan's all about. Talk about all that with everybody. So, look forward to that. You can catch me on my channel. It's the Eslam Collate, right? I'm on YouTube. I'm on Twitch. And I'm on Twitter so far, until they change it. I don't know what's going on with that. But, if you type in Google the Eslam Collate, you should find me somewhere that you're familiar with. And I will be there taking questions about Heroscape if you have any. And, talk about this project. So,
Joe. Thank you, Jeremy. Joe.
Man. I have a love-hate with my final thoughts on the show. Because I wish it could never stop, but I also feel like that I just never know what to say until I can start talking. Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure picking your brain, Ben, and it's so cool that seeing somebody that's been within the community for so long working on something as of Age of Annihilation, seeing the work that you guys have done in the C3V, which I know we didn't get to talk too much about, and I know with our friend group, even though all of some of the old Scape stuff is still very expensive to get, we saw out for the C3V, and ever since we found that page, and as you guys were coming out with new stuff, we were grabbing it. As soon as I'd be just like, hey guys, you want to come over for tonight? Sure, no problem. And then Glenn would come over with a box and, hey, here you go, Joe. What the heck is this? And he'd have like all of these, different units, and it would be like, hey, I feel like every birthday and Christmas was just like custom Heroscape, for me and for us as a group, and it was just fantastic. And so just staying I don't know, I want to use this time just to say too, with the C3V, is right now my favorite army to play with is the Lawmen.
Nice.
Those guys, the fact that they like, to me, they're just super Dawn Raiders, because of how they work. They're all the uniques. You have I can't think of the one guy, but the one Jandar guy, he allows them to move forward, or let them attack. It's just those are my favorite right now. Those are my favorite, the Lawmen. So hopefully right after I get some of my ScapeCon footage out, I'll be working on my own customs as well. So hopefully we'll have you on, or as other people as well, to join on and talk about different custom units, and we can brainstorm stuff and try to pick your brain and see how things work. Because I'm super interested in that stuff as well.
Absolutely.
So if you want to see that type of content, head over to Joe Crazy 3193 because we are working on some fantastic content. Entertainment is my deal. So thank you, Ryan.
Yes, sir. Jason.
Well, I certainly enjoyed having you on the show tonight, Dadscaper. Definitely love the whole inside, the kind of the tabletop game development, hearing some of those stories, some of the playtesting stuff, just kind of hearing what goes on inside like that. I love that kind of stuff. So thank you for joining. And one random thing I want to know is if there's any confirmation of my crazy off-the-rails prediction that the Xenothax Dragon is going to be a 400-point monster character that's going to dominate tournaments. Can you confirm or deny that rumor I made up last time in the show? I think 400 points would be an awesome number.
Yeah, I'm sorry, no. I'm not supposed to talk about designs that haven't been released yet, but not 400 points.
Okay. Well, we got that confirmation, so there you go.
Shot. Anyway, well, I'm Jason, the creator of the Tabletop Battlefield. You can check out my content at tabletopbattlefield.com or Rocker Robotics on YouTube. I just got done working on another Avalon Hill project here. I painted up the new Hero Quest hero, the Rogue Heir of Elathorn. And if you want to check out my space combat game, Legends of Caledagia, that's over at EmpireUnderSiege.com.
All right, thank you, Jason. And okay, give me a moment. Okay, I'm Ryan, Tales of Valhalla, and like I said, I do stop motion Heroscape content. I've been doing it for the past how many years now? It's been a while. Just released an episode a few weeks ago, episode 7 of season 3. Now, back to back, working on the last 3 episodes of season 3, and I was going through the script of those episodes today because this coming Wednesday for a live stream, I'm going to be doing the final voiceovers because I do voiceovers myself with some of the characters for that. And when I was going through that script today, I was literally just crying because this has been a long journey for me, and yeah, I don't know how, like, when we get to episode 10, I honestly don't know if I'm going to be able to speak. It's been that much of a growing journey and a lot of fun and working with a lot of wonderful people. But yeah, this Wednesday live stream gonna be doing those final voiceovers. I voice Light Folly, I voice Sylvaris, and unfortunately I voice Jandar too because I had no choice. So I'm going to be doing some of those voiceovers for the final episodes this Wednesday. So definitely check that out. Now let me get to this rant a little bit, and this might take a minute, and I have stuff written down because, like I said, I've been seeing some things these past few weeks that make my eye twitch, and I'm not here to criticize anybody. I'm not here to put anybody down. I've already made that clear. That's not what I'm here for. But as Dadscaper was saying, we're content creators, and so this is something that's specifically aimed at the content creators out there, especially the miniature wargaming content creators that are like talking about Heroscape and such. And overall, most of them are good. But I see like comments on like on Facebook, sometimes on Discord, throughout the internet, when it comes to the funding of this campaign, and people talking about like, oh, it's not gonna fund. It's already over, already written off as being already over. And those comments, like we mentioned before earlier, don't bother me too much. It's just people talking. It's mostly actually about some people who are being uncertain, or don't have a lot of certainty when it comes to this. And I'm gonna say that, yeah, I feel the same way about that personally. But when it comes to content creators, and I've seen 1 or 2 videos of content creators that have influence, and I'm going to be honest with myself. I don't have a huge sphere of influence when it comes to, promoting this game. It's a very small sphere. I'm happy with what I got, and I love saying what I want to say. But there are some YouTube content creators out there that have huge channels, have a huge sphere of influence, have a huge responsibility when it comes to talking about these things. And for those who do comment, and leave their comments, like I said, this isn't aimed at people just commenting on whatever on pages. If you want it to be for you, by all means, you can apply it to yourself. I'm all for that. But when it comes to content creators talking about this game or this funding already being done, I ask, are we at 0 on the clock yet? No, we're not at 0 on the clock yet. And hold on a second, I just want to review my notes here real quick because I made some points. And usually I'm talking off the cuff, but tonight I wanted to make sure that I got this out here. Yeah, here we go. So yeah, what does the clock say right now? I'm sure like one of you guys can pull up the HasLab campaign. Actually, I can even pull it up right now because I got it here. How much time do we have on the clock?
9 days and 35 minutes.
Yep.
9 days, 35 minutes. There is still time on the clock for something to happen. We are nearly halfway there. You know what that tells me? That it actually only take probably, well, I mean, if we're half funded, anybody who's funded, and I'm not saying to go do this, but they could get another one, and we'd be hitting 8,000. So that's one positive aspect of it. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to the level of responsibility as a content creator, I don't mind having the conversation after this is over. Again, content creators, you can say what you want to say. This is just my own critique. And I'm going to break my own swearing rule for this moment. So if kids are watching, or if parents have got kids watching,
cuff those ears.
For 15 seconds, skip ahead. Because I have some strong words to say to some of these content creators, because this is just on my mind, and this is what I'm thinking because this is not something I want to see spread even before this campaign is done. Okay. So here we are. How about we get our thumbs out of our asses and wait for this kind of conversation until after it is all said and done.
Right.
Now, it could mean a donkey. You could take it as like meaning donkey, but either way, it's
that doesn't make it any better, but
this can fail. Obviously, this could fail. But
it's not over yet.
But with the time left on the clock, it is possible that it can fund. How about we wait? How about we see what happens? So many times people throw in the towel because they don't want to get hit. They don't want to get hurt. They don't want to take the pain and fail any harder than they have to. It's almost like a defense mechanism for people sometimes. It's like, I don't want this to hurt too much. I believe it is possible that this can fund. I believe it. And this is something that I came up in my mind tonight because, yeah, I have my doubts. Of course I have my doubts. But I believe it is possible that it can fund. And if it doesn't, because come that Tuesday night, November 15th, we're going to be live. ToV Live is going to have a special live presentation. We're going to have fun, and this is a call out to people. Get what are they called? Get your memes ready, okay? Get your Heroscape memes ready, because we're gonna have a meme review. That's one of the things we're gonna do. So if you want to submit a meme, because we're gonna have some fun that night. But we're gonna be there till the final countdown, either to celebrate or cry, maybe both. But I'm willing to take that hit. I'm willing to take a chance on this. And I'm sure the group gathered around me here is willing to take that hit as well, to just take that step forward and hope. And even if you come across failure, it's not failure if you learn, if you recover, if you keep on going. Now hold on one moment. I love there's this speech that, and I think this comes from Theodore Roosevelt way back like some 100 years ago, called "The Man in the Arena." I love this one. I just want to read this to you all. Now, I want to hope to inspire people, okay? Look, again, it's okay. Oh, this game's unpainted. Doesn't matter. Oh, Avon Hill's doing the wrong things. I could change this or change that. Doesn't matter. I'd rather it be this way. Oh, the shipping's too high. Oh, we're not sending it to every world. Doesn't matter, doesn't matter, doesn't matter. Do you want Heroscape back or not? This is our game right now. This is the game we're playing right now in this sphere. And whether I have a little bit of influence, and whether it had you out there who might have a little bit of influences in your comment or a YouTube page with thousands of subscribers, this is the game we're playing, and it is not over yet. Again, I understand the reality of the situation. We're probably going to take a hit, but you know what? I'm betting we won't. And I'm willing to take it all the way up until Tuesday, November 15th. Remember, the 15th of November. Let's make it happen. Okay, the man in the arena. It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory or defeat. Are you ready to dare greatly? This is just a silly game, okay? In the aspect of life, this is just a silly game. But are you ready to dare greatly in your life? And then maybe possibly this game. There's another saying, I think it's Benjamin Franklin. Men die at 25 but wait till 70 to be buried. It's because most people don't actually live. They don't actually take a chance. Take a chance. Open yourself up to take a hit. We're gonna. How about you? You have a purpose in your life. Find it, pursue it, live it. We'll see you guys next time. Bye now.